Building better exercises, understanding the HSEEP preparedness concept. Welcome to Vanguard Prepared podcast. I'm Brian Onieal, Chair of Training and Exercise for the U.S. Coast Guard, Sector New York and New Jersey's Area Maritime Security Committee. Also the co-author of Maritime Emergencies, a complete guide for land-based first responders. Whether you're a firefighter, emergency manager, law enforcement officer, port authority, representative, or private sector partner, one challenge connects us all. How do we know we're actually prepared before disaster strikes? The answer isn't simply writing another emergency plan. The answer is exercising those plans, identifying the gaps, improving our capabilities before lives of critical infrastructure are at risk. Today we're discussing one of the most important frameworks in emergency management, the Homeland Security Exercise and Evaluation Program, also known as HSEEP. We focus on four concepts every exercise plan should understand: preparedness concepts, mission areas, core capabilities, and SMART objectives. What is HSEEP? Many people think HSEEP is a way to conduct a typical exercise. It isn't. HSEEP actually is a national methodology for improving preparedness. Exercises is simply one tool within that process. The philosophy is pretty straightforward. Plan, train, exercise, evaluate, improve, and then repeat. Every exercise should make your organization measurably better than it was before. If nothing changes after an exercise, you've simply spent time. You haven't improved preparedness. Preparedness begins with risk. Preparedness isn't about preparing for everything. It's about preparing for what is most likely and what would have the greatest consequence in your community. And every community has unique risks. Coastal communities may focus on hurricanes, vessel fires, oil spills, maritime terrorism. Inland jurisdictions may emphasize hazardous material transportation, flooding, rail incidents, or cyber disruptions. The first question isn't, what exercise should I conduct? The first question is, what risks threaten our community? Those risks are identified and determine what capabilities are needed to address them. That's where the National Preparedness Goal comes into play. There are 5 mission areas. The National Preparedness Goal organizes these 5 mission areas that are not independent of each other. They're all connected. Let's start off. First one's prevention. How can we stop an incident before it happens? An example of that would be intelligence sharing, or suspicious activity reporting, or cargo inspections, or counterterrorism efforts. The next one's protection. How do we reduce the vulnerability? This would include the physical security, or cybersecurity, or infrastructure protection, access control, protective measures around critical facilities, etc. And then the third one is mitigation. Not every disaster can be prevented. Mitigation reduces consequences before an event occurs. An example includes a stronger building code, flood control projects, resilient port designs, redundant communication systems, and fuel protections. Response. Response begins with the moment an incident occurs. This includes life safety, incident stabilization, property conservation, resource coordination, setting up unified command, public information, emergency communications. This is where most first responders spend their career. Recovery. Recovery is often lasting months or years. It can include the economic recovery, environmental restoration, infrastructure repair, business continuity, community resilience. Recovery begins during the response, not after it. We talked about core capabilities. Mission areas tell us where to work. Core capabilities tell us what we need to accomplish. Think of them as a measurable operational function. Examples could include operational coordination, public information and warning, planning, situational assessment. There's 32 core capabilities nationally, and it is where we find the most risk when we're trying to deal with emergencies. Each exercise should evaluate one or more core capabilities. If you can't identify the capability being tested, you're probably conducting an activity, not an exercise. Exercise objectives. One of the biggest mistakes in exercise design is writing vague objectives. Consider the objective, improve communications. How would you measure that success? You can't. Now consider this one. Demonstrate interoperable communications between the fire department, Coast Guard, terminal operator, and emergency management within 10 minutes of a unified command activation. Now we have something that's measurable. This is where SMART objectives become essential. What's a SMART objective? Well, it's an acronym. The SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. Let's break them down. Specific. State exactly what participants should be able to accomplish. Avoid broad language. You should be able to establish a incident command system within 15 minutes of your arrival. Measurable. Success should be observable. Can the evaluators determine whether or not it was observable? Achievable. Objectives should challenge participants without being impossible. Don't blow up the world. Just ask them to be able to conduct something within the scope of the exercise that's valuable. Relevant. Objectives should directly support your hazard, plan, or operational priorities. And then time-bound. Include measurable timeframes whenever possible, within 5 minutes, within 30 minutes, or before an operational period ends or the new one begins. Let's give an example. Imagine a disabled container vessel entering a port after a machinery space fire. The vessel has injured crew members. It has hazardous cargo on board. There's fuel that may be hazardous if it's dealt with inappropriately. Limited propulsion, media attention. This isn't simply a fire incident. It affects multiple mission areas: response, protection, recovery, potential prevention. Now let's identify the core capabilities: operational coordination, public information, situational assessment, environmental response, planning, operational communications. Instead of writing improve unified command, we develop SMART objectives. So let's give you an example. Establish a unified command involving the Coast Guard, local fire department, terminal operator, qualified individual, and vessel representatives within 30 minutes of an incident notification. Or let's develop an incident action plan before the second operational briefing. Or identify all the hazardous cargo containers requiring protective actions within 60 minutes. On the evaluation side of an exercise, the purpose is not to grade the participants. It's to identify the strengths and opportunities for improvement. Every observation should answer 3 questions. What happened? Why did it happen? And what should we change? This becomes the foundation of an after-action report and improvement plan. Exercises are successful when organizations improve, not when everything goes perfectly. Preparedness is not measured by how many plans sit on a shelf. It's measured by how well organizations perform together under stress. HSEEP provides that roadmap. Mission areas define the operational environment. Core capabilities identify what must be accomplished. SMART objectives tell us exactly what success looks like. When those 4 concepts work together, exercises become more than simulations. They become powerful tools for improving national preparedness. Thank you for listening to Vanguard Prepared's podcast. In today's discussion that helped clarify HSEEP concepts, please share the episode with your colleagues in emergency management, public safety, and in the maritime community. Why most tabletop exercises fail is because they don't measure operational capability and how to fix them. We need to understand that preparedness isn't built during a disaster. It's built long before they occur through planning, training, and realistic exercises.